Very, very good morning. Karibu sana. Welcome to the Leadership Wednesday show. Of course, this being the 28th of February 2024. We are delighted to have you on this particular program. Of course, you know when it is Leadership Wednesday, we're discussing matters of leadership, of course, across different spheres: education, health, agriculture, governance, and of course some other areas, and of course with the sole goal and the sole aim to ensure that we give you an opportunity to be involved and to participate in matters leadership, and also to improve or to better our leadership. We always say in this particular show, everything rises and falls on leadership, and of course the reflection of the society is as good as the leaders that we are having. So karibu sana, and today there is the news that has actually been making headlines across this 1 week, and even in the few recent weeks in the past, about the menace of drug abuse in the country. We continue to have so many Kenyans falling victims of drug menace or drug abuse and alcoholism menace. Now, what is it that has really made this particular menace to continue increasing in the society? What is a missing link? What are some of the main hurdles? What needs to be done? What are some of the effects of this particular menace? These are some of the things that we are going to discuss today in this particular program, in this particular show, and we want to invite you so that you can also be part and parcel to give us your reflections, to give us your perspectives as far as this particular discussion is concerned, and we'll be delighted. We have a guest in the studio that will help us to get into the details of our conversation. Mr. Samuel Kinyenju will be here in a short while. He is a regional chair, Kenya Students Christian Fellowship, Mount Kenya West. He'll be here to help us look at this particular matter in details. But before that, I also have my colleague, Bwana Paul Kagi, on the other side. Karibu sana, it's good to have you today.
Yes, good morning, Mangicho. How is your cold Wednesday?
by the way, you put it very right. I think we really thank God because of the rains. We had really waited for them, and we are happy. We can actually say it's a very, very good morning. I think so many people had really started complaining that it was getting hot and hot, especially in Nakuru.
Yes.
But with the onset of the rains yesterday, the weather looks beautiful, Kagi.
Yeah, and many people are calling it a heat wave.
Yes.
So we are draftly shifting from a heat wave to a cold wave. And the weatherman has already cautioned us on what is coming in the next few things between the March and the month of May.
Yes.
So we are standing well guided by the weather person.
Yes. Absolutely, and in a short while we'll be getting into the general analysis of some of the items making headlines in this past week. But of course, as we had already told you, our viewer, we want to invite you to participate and to also interact with us. We have a question that we've put out for you. What do you think are some of the main hurdles in the fight against drug abuse and alcoholism in the country? What do you think are some of the main hurdles, some of the key challenges in the fight against drug abuse and alcoholism in the country? You can feel free to share with us. We are live on our social media pages: Facebook, that is MBCI TV, YouTube MBCI TV official. Drop a comment or two. Catch us on our shortcut platform. It's free of charge, 23814. What do you think are some of the hurdles? Because this is not a new phenomenon in the society, in our country. It's something that we've been seeing for very, very many years. And of course, there have been efforts that have been put into place to ensure that we have this menace being wiped out. Unfortunately, that's not the case if the recent happenings is anything to go by. So today we want to find out what are some of these hurdles, and of course once we identify them, then we'll be able to ask ourselves, do we need to change the strategy that we've been using? Is there some need for us maybe to call a meeting and find out if there are some of these particular roadblocks that have been there, and how do we get rid of them so that we can have a society that is free of drug abuse, free of alcoholism? And I believe that would be the desire of any good-minded Kenyan. So we'll be getting into that particular discussion with our guests who will help us to look at it in very, very great perspectives. But before that, Kagi,
yes,
some of the other items making headlines across this 1 week.
Very well, Mangicho. I think we have quite a number of issues which are coming up between the whole of this week. And one of the major items that is really coming in our headlines in all our dailies, the whole of this week, is what we are calling the Ruto and Raila reunion. And this has been brought about by the candidature of Raila to be the AU chair. And this quest for his chairmanship as the AU chair, the commission chair, has really also got a very good boost from the president himself, who has said categorically, in fact yesterday, that they are working out modalities and ways to be able to campaign for this position for Raila, which is a very prestigious position in Africa. And this position also has really brought about a lot of interest, a lot of support from all political divide, from the opposition and also from the government side. And it is very interesting for the first time, knowing how the side of opposition and the government have been divided regarding two many issues. Again, they have crossed the bridge and they are now working together moving forward. Yesterday, the president said very well that after elections, we don't have a loser. We should all be working together to ensure that everybody has been brought on board for the sake of our nation. And, you know, I think the day before yesterday, the president and Raila themselves, they had gone to Uganda to meet Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the long-serving president of Uganda, trying to look for ways to consolidate the support from the East African community. And we know we have a very wide region, whereby if you get the support from the East African community, that this region from East Africa, if it is going to support one candidate, then it will be very easier for them to be able to reach out to other regions in Africa. And therefore, we know the likes of countries like Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Sudan, Eritrea, and all of them, Somalia, they are within the bloc of East African community. And therefore, if they are going to agree on one candidate, and so far the only person who is coming out strongly for this position is Odinga himself. And therefore, if they can be able to consolidate one person, it will be very easy for them to reach out to their friends in Western region, Northern region, South African region. And we have one advantage over this, that this region has never had a strong or maybe a high-profile position in Africa. The other areas in Africa had their chairmanship. We have West Africa, we had South Africa, we had even the eastern part of Africa. The only two areas which had not received maybe a position of this level is East African region and also in the northern part of Africa. And therefore, we are looking forward to see how it is going to fare off. So far, we have not had anybody else in Africa who has really posted his candidature. And therefore, like any other election, we are waiting for other people to come up. And then they have said that these elections are going to be held in a secret ballot by African countries.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kagi. A very major story, and I think I have seen it. It has actually trended even in the X space and other social media platforms. And of course, even the return of the camaraderie between the President, William Ruto, and also his nemesis, Azimio leader Raila Odinga. But I think this is, to me, Kagi, this was a good sign if we could actually see leaders, because there was that feeling that the elections had really made these two leaders to actually be very, very far apart. And people were actually wondering now, how would the country fare on? How do the country progress? Maybe when they can't talk to each other. Now, these two leaders being the ones that actually command a lot of following in the country. So seeing them together yesterday and even the day before yesterday when they were in Uganda, as you've put it, I think it was a very, very good gesture. And we want to believe, and this should actually be emulated across the country, so that we be in a position to see leaders working together. Of course, it should not mean that now maybe there is a way in which maybe the country will be affected, because now maybe most people know, or most people relate there's a new leader with opposition, and now maybe there is the feeling that, or the worry that now who is going to check the government. But I think even in that particular effort and even in the steps to push for him to actually get that particular seat. That is quite in order, and I believe that is really going to bring the country, and actually to put the country in a very good strategic position, because that is a coveted seat in Africa. So I think it is a good gesture. We just want now to go to of course, to wait and see how the lobbying will take place, and whether this particular position will come home.
Yes, and last week we said that this position is not reserved for him. He is only showing interest in that position. Mm-hmm. And one thing, maybe as I conclude on this, that we are expecting out of this, if Odinga is going to get this position, one major thing that we expect is that it's going to change our political landscape, whether in opposition areas or in the government areas. You know, Mangicho, there are some guys whose political career have been built by just mentioning Raila. Yeah. Whether you are mentioning him on the right books or on the wrong books, whether in opposition or in government, there's some people, Mangicho, and watch this, whose career are going to die as Raila's exit the local politics. But we're wishing him well. If he gets the position, he is equal to the task. I think even from the government side, they see the importance of him being there, and it's a very high-profile position. It also is going to raise his political ladder to the next level, and even to command his respect as a seasoned and old politician. Exactly, and of course, we want to hope that it should not mean, like just like you've said, it should not now necessarily mean that we wouldn't have, because I've seen those who have complained that now who is going to serve as the opposition leader. No. And just as we are saying, actually all this they're not reserved for any particular person. I think it is also the high time that we need to see other leaders coming out, other Kenyans coming out and taking that particular position to be vocal in terms of saying maybe what they think or what they believe is not happening well or is not doing well in the country. They should be able to come out and strongly speak against that. But we want to believe that this is for the good of the all, both in our country and even beyond, so that maybe we can be in a position to see Kenya also maybe getting the kind of respect that it deserves, even from other countries. And another issue that is coming up is that this week has been very busy to our learners who are looking for chances in our colleges and our universities. And they have been very busy to be able to file their courses at the COOPS platform. But one thing that we must, Mangicho, identify is that the COOPS program is one of the best programs that we can be able to identify, which has really brought a lot of order in our TVET colleges and even universities. You know, before you could just walk in a college and look for a position, whether you get it or not, whether in private or public institutions. But today, we can say that this program is really working for our learners, although it has some hiccups. I remember the first time I finished my high school, the college I wanted to go was in a media school. It was only one media school in the whole country. And it became a tall order to get a chance in that college. And I had passion for media. That must be KIMC. Exactly. And because of the hiccups that were there to join a college, all of us, we are scrambling for one. There are no good systems on how we can go to that college. I missed the chance to be able to go and learn media. And then I tried something else in that line. But later on, I tried to regroup myself, and I did media. Okay. But you see, I lost a lot of years because of lack of systems on how we can be able to maybe program our learners to identify the right colleges. Far from there, this system needs to be rechecked, to be much faster, to be easier for our learners to be able to identify their courses and to select the schools of their choices. I think it's not only more than 1 week since this system was opened, close to 2 weeks, but so far the deadline has to be extended because many learners could not be able to access filing in the system. Even if you make payment, they are not receiving responses to prove that they have made their payment. The challenge to the COOPS itself is to try look for a way to improve on their systems, whereby when students want to apply for their courses and colleges, it will be faster, it will be easier. You know, when you're talking about digital platform, Mangicho, we are coming out from the days when you could go and line up in an institution waiting to be manually served. And for a digital system, you only need to sit with your phone or maybe your laptop or desktop and apply what you want to apply. Within a twinkling of an eye, that service should be offered to you outright. Yes. Right? There should be a distinction between the digital era and the analog era. The analog era. Yes. It's
quite unfortunate that in the digital era, we have so many of our students actually getting these challenges. And yeah, that is a new story that I have seen. Most parents have complained about. Some of these young people that are actually yearning to enroll in some of these colleges, yes, they've really complained because, and remember, these are students, they have finished Form 4, they want to continue and move to the next stage of their education life, and then they are being advised, they are being asked to get into this particular system, only for them to find the system having challenges. The right thing needs to be done. And like you said, in this particular technology era, and I believe we have a great human resource, especially in this particular field of technology, I think it is high time they pull up their socks so that we can actually have these students getting into that particular system. And it should be easy. It should be something that is very, very easy for them to operate and get the courses that they actually require.
Now, the good thing is that even the payments are not done to the COOPs. Yeah. They are done within the new system of the e-citizen. And therefore, the system is not very cumbersome. Sure. I think it's only a technical issue that needs to be checked according to what the minister said by yesterday.
Absolutely.
One more issue, Mangicho, yes, that is a little bit disturbing is how the bandits are regrouping themselves. This time around, they are really working on a very queer way. You know, there before they used to steal livestock. I think the security agents have really managed to control the situation. It's very rare for you to hear that they are stealing livestock, but they have derived a very, very, very disturbing method of doing the operations, whereby they are killing young children, women, men, and everybody, and you can't understand why they are killing them. You know, there before, these bandits used to harass men. You know, they were their main enemies. But when you ambush young people who are coming from schools, killing them, you know, ambushing people in their homes, like the way they ambushed the chief's homestead in Samburu and killed the kings there, is very disturbing. But yesterday, the CS for Interior, Kithure Kindiki, really promised that he is going there. Today, they can be coming up with more stringent measures to curb the situation. I think looking from how Professor Kindiki has really worked on the issues of trying to manage these guys, he is on the right track. If he doesn't relent, he's going to manage them.
Sure.
But also, they need to work around the clock to ensure that this aspect of killing people is really stopped once and for all.
Exactly, Kagi. Talking about the issue of banditry in the country. And I know even in this particular show, Kagi, we've addressed this particular matter, yes, even with our previous panelists. And of course, one thing that we wouldn't want to imagine and we wouldn't even want to think about is that maybe the government has been defeated, or maybe the government cannot really be in a position to ultimately deal with this particular disaster once and for all. Like we've said in Samburu, we actually even saw it was, I think it was in the news, the story of one of the MCAs,
yes,
who had actually been recorded asking the president and asking the government to take the action before more lives are actually lost. Only I think maybe for like a week after that particular recording, the bandits go for him and is killed. And I think that is a particular incident that most Kenyans really felt very disappointed with. How is it that these bandits can actually be that and can actually dare the government and even be in a position to always retreat and then come back and commit some of these atrocities is something that is just mind-boggling. We need to, as a society, I think we need to sit down. I think it calls for, just like the topic that we are going to discuss, I think even the issue of banditry needs more energy, it needs more time, maybe more attention to be in a position to see what is it that is actually being the major stumbling block, because people are, like you've said, now they are getting into just killing spree. They're not even asking some of these people anything. They're not, even some of them are not even interested maybe in moving away or walking away or going away with the cattle. So it's just very ridiculous, the kind of things that they're actually doing. Yeah,
and I think they should no longer be called bandits. They should be given a new name. Yeah, because they are terrorizing people. Like in this Samburu,
yes,
thousands of people have left their homes.
Actually, maybe even terrorists should actually be the word.
The schools were closed yesterday because it's no longer secure for everybody there. And I trust that the Interior Ministry is going to do something to secure this area. We know that they are very capable. And the report that came yesterday was that within 1 year, in Samburu alone, they have managed to kill 200 plus people. Wow. It's a very huge number.
Very huge number.
Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I think those are some of the key highlights and some of the key items that have made headlines our viewer across this particular 1 week. Of course, you can expect more even as we continue. But for now, we want to take this opportunity to introduce our guests. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Leadership Wednesday show. Our topic for today will be curbing, or actually dealing with drug abuse and alcoholism menace. We have a question that we've put out for you. What do you think are some of the main hurdles, main challenges as far as making this fight a success is concerned? Because this is a fight that has been there for a long time. But how comes we are not just getting it right? These are some of the tough questions that we'll be interacting with as we continue with our conversation. And our guest for today is Mr. Samuel Kinyanjui. Now, Mr. Samuel Kinyanjui is a regional chair, Kenya Students Christian Fellowship, that is Mount Kenya West. It is also has some diverse and great wealth of experience as far as matters students are concerned, and I know he'll be in a position to help us. Karibu sana, and it's good to have you in this particular show, Bwana Kinyanjui.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Wow.
Yes.
We are also having the pleasure to have you today, and maybe just for the purposes of our viewer who may want even to hear for themselves, maybe you can briefly just introduce yourself before we get into the topic.
Oh, thank you. And good morning, viewers. My name is Samuel Kinyanjui. And I'm referred to as Samuel Kinyanjui. Kinyanjui is my surname. I am a teacher by profession. I worked with the TSC for 16 years, then I resigned. I'm learning a private school in Nyeri, a place called Mokoroine. I'm also serving the ministry called the Kenya Student Christian Fellowship. Currently, I'm the Mount Kenya West chair, and I'm also the block chair. And the block constitute 11 counties, all the way from Moyale, Isiolo, Tharaka Nithi, Meru, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Nyeri, and Laikipia. And KSCF, we nurture young people in high school, in the Christian unions, and we bring them up in the ways of God and instilling godly values, and also harvesting the souls for Christ. We preach to them and we pray for them to get saved. That is what we do, and we are very passionate. Personally, I'm very passionate about that ministry. Thank you, Magicho.
Wow, karibu sana. We are happy to have you, and you're doing a good job back there in ensuring that students get into Kenya Students Christian Fellowship. So, karibu sana for this particular topic.
Thank you.
This is a topic that Mr. Kinyanjui has affected us, and I know you've also seen some of the impact it has actually caused in our country. We've lost so many of our youth, especially because they're the ones that fall victims in a very high number as far as drug abuse is concerned. Maybe in your own brief analysis, just to give us an introduction, what has been it for you whenever you hear this particular issue of drug and alcoholism in our country?
Thank you, Magisho. I think the issue of drugs and substance abuse is an issue in our country. And I would call it a menace. I would call it a war. And it's a war that we can fight and win this war. But somewhere, somehow, we are dropping the ball. Magisho, when a child is born, if you look at every child, even the black people, when they are born, they are white, they are very brown. They show purity. They are born with their parents. Then after they are brought up by their parents, they are handed over to the teachers. After the teachers, they go to the society. They go to the universities. Somewhere, when these children are growing, we are losing them. Why are we losing them? Is it a battle that has defeated us? And I want to say it's not a battle that has defeated us. Let me also say, the war against drug and substance abuse is not an event. It's a process, and it's a battle that should be fought by people who are determined. But I want to say and assure people that it can be won, so long as we commit ourselves to fight it. So long as we commit ourselves
to fight it. Leno Kagi also be coming up with a point, but there is something that you've said very important. It's not an event, it's a process. We want to find out and to distinguish between the two. Have we been fighting it as an event, or have we been fighting this as a process? I want to take a short break at this juncture. We are coming back with much more. Stay tuned to the Leadership Wednesday show right here on MBCI TV.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
After several years of dedicated translation work, the Pokomo community received the complete Bible in their heart language on 30th September 2023. Your support and presence at the last year's run for the Bible has played a crucial part in making it possible, allowing the Pokomo community to now engage with God's Word in a language they understand best. BTL once again invites you to the 17th edition of the Run for the Bibleless on 16th March 2024. The 10-kilometer run and the 5-kilometer walk will take place at the Carnival Grounds in Nairobi, Nakuru High School in Nakuru, and Potter's House Academy in Eldoret, starting at 7:30 a.m. Register today at BTL Centers in Upper Hill, Ruiru, AGC Lakeview Nakuru, Reformed Church Eldoret, and Keswick Bookshops in Nairobi, and get a t-shirt for 1,500 bob for adults and 1,000 shillings for children. Additionally, consider making a donation or sponsoring others to the run. Use paybill number 898301, account RUN. For further details, contact us on 0722 209 606 or email us at info@btlkenya.org. Help us fulfill our 2024 translation completions for the complete Bible in Marakwet language and the New Testament in Chonyi, Waata, Chuka, Upper Pokomo, and Tugen languages. Bible translation and literacy. BTL, reaching the unreached communities with God's Word in their language.
Huyu Noah wa Bible alikaa 40 days and 40 nights. Hizo zilikuwa siku kama ngapi hivi?
Hiyo ni 59 days.
Rudia tena.
Hiyo ni 59 days.
Haba na haba?
Tosa kibaba.
Ganda la mua?
Awoni mui.
What did I hear?
Awoni mui.
Kufunga ndindindi, si ndio? Na kukula
Dindindi.
Unasikia wapi?
Chebet jogged while choking. Chebet jogged while choking. Nataka urudie mara 3 mbio mbio bila kustop, twende.
Okay, Chebet jog while choking. Chebet go to jogging, jogging.
Wool up, just wool up.
Okay, Chebet jog while choking. Chebet go to jogging, jogging.
Tune in this Thursday from 7:30 to 8 in the PM katika kipindi cha Mlo Wetu nami Perpetual Nyambura, and we will be with Chef Jackie as we take you through on how you can prepare your ugali pork served with some managu. Don't miss.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back, and you're still watching us right here on Leadership Wednesday. We are glad you're still having time to be with us. And of course, the topic that we are bringing to you today is fighting drug menace, or actually the fight against drug menace. And we've seen this is something that has actually been all over the headlines in the last few weeks. Most of our Kenyans, we've lost quite, I think it was more than 20 people in the county of Kirinyaga. And it was very, very sad, very unfortunate. And of course, we also had, we've also had a conference that is happening at Mombasa, and also on matters to do with the drug abuse menace. And of course, also in other counties in this particular country, we've also seen the same disaster. And we are just asking ourselves, what is it that has been the main missing link in as far as this particular fight is concerned? What needs to be done? Is there a need for change of strategy? And how should this change of strategy be? How should it be articulated? How should it be conducted? These are some of the questions that we'll be putting out today, and we also introduce and to also give you an opportunity to interact with us. 23814, our shortcut platform. On all social media pages, I've already seen there are those who are joining us. There are those who are also giving us their opinions. MBCI TV for Facebook, and also YouTube, that is MBCI TV official. We have a guest, and that is Mr. Samuel Kenyanjui. He is original chair, Kenya Students Christian Fellowship, Mount Kenya West, a teacher by profession, and of course also with vast knowledge as far as our subject is concerned today. Just before I go to Kagi, Bwana Kenyanjui, there is something that you've said, the issue of looking at the war against drug abuse as an event vis-a-vis a process. Kindly, if you can expand on that.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, why I'm saying it's not an event, it's a war, because the people who are selling the drugs are not sleeping. The Bible says in the book of 1 Peter 5:8 that your adversary, the devil, is roaming around like a lion looking for someone to devour. So even when you think there is peace, there is no peace. Even when we think that we have won the war against drugs, it is not yet won. Because those that are doing it, they are still doing it behind. And therefore, the people that are fighting the war against drug and substance abuse, starting from the parents, going to the teachers, going to the churches, going to the society, going to the government, we should not drop our guards and say that we have won the war. We need to fight this war until we say now the war is over. We should be at war. When the parents are bringing up the children, that is where the war starts. Because this child is not born taking drugs. I've said the child is born pure, innocent. But it means it's like a ball. You know, the former minister, the CS Matiang'i, when he was fighting the issue of exam cheating, when they did everything, he said, we have now handed the ball to the examiners or the marker. Don't drop the ball. And they did it until they were able to deliver an exam that was not cheating. So even this war against drug and substance abuse, it should be like that. We as parents, we do our work. We bring up children. And I want to encourage parents. We need to bring up our children in a godly way. We should not leave anything for chance. We don't just leave our children like that. When our children are interacting with the people, we should know the people they're interacting with. We should have a cross monitoring of our children, right from primary schools. Because some of the drugs, some of the children are introduced into drugs in primary schools. But you wonder how parents are not able to detect that. You have a child from class 1 to class 8, by the time he is exiting, maybe he knows how to smoke. He has ever smoked maybe cigarette. By the time he's exiting class 8. Then this child is handed over now to the boarding schools, whereby now the responsibility is with the teachers. And definitely there is a lot of work in the schools. The teachers may not be able to detect Yeah. So imagine now the child was introduced into drugs, into cigarettes and other drugs in a primary school without the parents detecting. You know, that's a great weakness. Okay. It's a great weakness. Then he goes now to the secondary schools. He's still there with the teachers. He's going to class. There is poor performance, and many, many other things are happening. Even when he brings the results home, the parent is not yet detecting. The teachers are not detecting that this child is using drugs. We come to realize that when it is too late. Maybe the child has reached the level of addiction. Magicho, by the time the child is abusing drugs until he becomes addicted, maybe when he's joining the university, something somewhere happened. So, but I want to say, if we are committed, right from the parents, we go to the teachers, we go to the churches, we go to the society, to the government, this war can be won. Wow. But I've said it's not a one-day event. It's not a one-day activity. This is a long time. It's a long-term. It's a long-term things that we should release all our weapons of warfare of the same until we win this battle. Wow. Yeah. Otherwise, if we live it like that one, we fold our hands and we think everything is fine, maybe even your child could be fine, but who is he going to interact with when he goes to the university or when he goes to colleges? Interact and who will be his roommate? Yeah. So that's what I can say. It's a war that can be fought and be won. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but we need to relook at this matter more deeper. Number one, before I say what I want to say or ask what I want to ask, somebody said, I think a few days ago, I think I read somewhere that our children wore 3 faces. The first face, when they come to us as parents, they have a different face. When they go to teachers in school, they change the face, they wear a different face in school. The third one is when they are among themselves, they have a different face. So that one becomes a big challenge, because when they wear a different face, that will be able to hide you as a parent to identify, to have any clue whether your son or daughter is using a drug. Sometimes it becomes too challenging. But I don't refute what you are saying, that we can be able to, there's something went wrong somewhere when you realize maybe when they're in college. But my biggest concern for quite some time now is that there has been a very deliberate and vibrant campaign to be able to reduce or maybe to eradicate drugs among young people. But just to ask, where is the D-link? Where are we losing the battle? Because today, some years back, you could not see any young man smoking cannabis sativa anywhere. You could not see them. But today, as we are speaking right now,
it's done in the open.
It is done in the open more than cigars. So I ask myself, why is it now today people are smoking marijuana more than even cigars, and the campaign is so intense? I know that you're working with young people in schools, yes, and you know what I'm talking about. So where are we losing it again? Because this campaign has been throughout for 1 or 2 decades, but the result sometimes I feel it is not positive. Where are we losing this battle?
Okay, thank you. As put it correctly, there's a lot of campaign of the same, of the issue of the drug and substance abuse. But as I've said in my introduction, and also highlight, that this battle should be fought without pointing fingers to anybody. Parents should not point fingers to teachers. Teachers should not point fingers to parents. The public should not point fingers to government. All of us, we are in that war, and we should fight. There should not be any blame. Yes, and where you are, what are you doing where you are? If, for example, I'm a parent, what am I doing with my children? What am I doing with my teenagers? And as Kagi has said, it's very true. Children and students wear different faces. And if you're not careful, you may not detect these faces.
That is what you are saying, that you will have parents today, yes, who are having these children for the last 5 or 10 years.
Yes.
But they don't know
them. They don't know them.
They are actually...
Hey, they don't know them. Let me tell you, Magicho, when I was teaching in high school, we had instances of drugs. We arrest a boy with the drugs.
In school?
In school, yes. Yeah.
It's possible for them to get into...
Yes. Yeah, you get them with drugs, bangi and those other drugs. When the parent is called, he is on the side of the child. that my child stays at home.
Yes.
He does not go out. He is always with me. So he has never touched a cigarette. When we tell the parent what we have and what we have discovered,
yes,
the parent will come to understand and agree that the child is abusing drug when the child confesses in front of the principal and the discipline.
Others, they would
yes,
they would deny it.
He has been there. Maybe the child is even in the Form 3, Form 4. The parent has never detected that the child is abusing drugs. I want to say, yes, we are very busy. I know we are looking for money, we are looking for successes, we are doing the part-time jobs, we are doing the masters, we are doing all those things, but sometimes we do it at the expense of our children. Magicho, and I know all of us are parents here, when you stay with your children, and especially during the time of Corona, we were able to discover our children well because we stayed with them at home. Yes, and you cannot hide your face forever. Yes. The plastic that you are putting on, it cannot be there forever.
The original will come out.
Yes, one thing that is affecting us as parents, it is having less time with our children. So you cannot even tell when a child is developing some queer behaviors.
Okay. Now, talking about the queer behaviors.
Yes.
Of course, I know society is evolving.
Yes.
So if these queer behaviors are not learned at home.
Yes.
Is it at school?
Yeah. Now you see the first weakness. It is happening with the parenting in the family, and maybe imagine now maybe the parents have even issues. They are domestic issues. They are quarrels. They are fighting in the family, and the children are here. You'll never know that your child is using drugs or has been introduced into drugs. Then you transit this child. He goes to the secondary school. He fights the teachers. The teachers are busy meeting the expectation. They are doing the schemes of work. They are doing the lesson plan. They have a lot of work. They have the games. They have duties that they are doing. Sometimes you work, let me tell you, you go to job, like I used to report maybe when I'm on duty, I report at 6:30. I'm there, I'm walking around, supervising lunch, supervising many things, cleaning. In the evening, you are very tired. You are still attending the classes. So in the evening, you don't even want to see any child. You just want to go home and rest. Yeah. But this is a child that is abusing what? It was using drugs. So the child is going to grow slowly, continue using the drugs, and one is detecting. Yes, and one is even that he'll be able to hide the face even from the teachers.
Yeah, what is the stake of the guidance and counseling in our schools? Is it effective towards fighting the drugs in our institutions? Yeah,
I would say they are trying. The guidance and counseling are trying, but I also want to say there was a time the ministry and the TS had proposed that we'll have a guidance and counseling department that has experts there who are not necessarily teaching. You know, the problem comes in, this guidance and counseling teacher, he has a lot of workload. Yeah. She's attending the classes. He's doing everything. So even when we have a case that needs to be attended, he has no time for that child. Again, yes, he's a guidance and counseling teacher. He has been given some basic skills of guidance and counseling, but he's not an expert. But the government is capable of training those people and giving them a department that they are not doing anything else apart doing the guidance and counseling. It can work and it is working. It can work and it works. But I would say we need to harness, we need to improve it. And also other departments like the Christian Union, the CU. When you see a school that has a strong CU, when you get a school that has a CU patron who is committed, you'll see a school that is disciplined. You'll see the school whereby the cases of drug and substance abuse are not that very high. I'm not saying that we eradicate it completely, but when you have those departments that are working, then you can see the successes. But when you have the school whereby there are many children that have come, like now when we talk of 100% transition, we have so many children in schools. I would say they're actually congested. In the dorms, in the classes, there's so many.
And that makes it even very difficult.
Very difficult
for the teachers.
Yes, even to detect.
The ratio is
just high.
It's just high.
So
to police every student.
Yeah, that's why I've said we cannot point fingers to anybody. Yeah, but we look at ourselves. Where we are as teachers, what are we doing? Yeah, are we ready to go that extra mile to talk to that child that you saw in class dosing or having some funny characters? Maybe the boy was very disciplined.
It's possible, by the way, to tell some of the signs when
you can. And the major thing that you see when a child is abusing drugs, it is the performance. It's performance.
The performance.
When the child performs poorly.
Poorly, yeah. Maybe the child was performing very well,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden you see the performance has gone down. Something is happening. If you dig deep, I'm not saying it's only the drugs. There could be other issues, like the issue of the relationships, yeah, the issues of the family, issues at home, but also the issue of the drugs. You can detect when you see the performance going. That is one. The cases of indiscipline. You find a child was a very good child, he was not making noise in class, but now he's a noisemaker. Or he's coming to school late. Or he's not finishing the assignments and the homeworks. You must dig deep and find out what is happening.
Can there be instances, and I think this may be, some people might argue that has been the cause of the peer pressure, that there are those maybe who are under the indulgence of these substance abuse, and they get to perform well.
The peer pressure?
Yes.
You know, there can be negative peer pressure or positive peer pressure. But if it's a negative peer pressure, maybe a child is sleeping at a place whereby the friend or the person they are staying with is using the drugs. And you see, this child does not have that moral authority or the willpower to say no. You know, he has not been, and you see now, that problem happened at the parenting. The child is not well established. He doesn't know the do's and the don'ts, and therefore it's very hard for him to say no. So you find him, he would like to be like his friends. Let me tell you, Magicho, I almost used alcohol when I was in Form 2. I almost started using alcohol.
Because of the peer pressure?
Because of peer pressure. Yes. And if the friends that you're working with, you hear them say how they took alcohol and it was good, and therefore you feel tempted. If the issue of the relationship with girls is peer pressure.
And some of them can actually even show that their performance is well.
Yes.
Because of the same.
Because of the same. So you feel that you'd like to be like him. Me, I would say that just by the grace of God, that in Form 3 I got saved. Yeah, but I was getting, you know, you are getting attracted by the story that you are hearing from your friends. So the issue of peer pressure is a big issue. So you see, you have missed a child to address the issue of the drugs in primary school. You have missed the chance now in secondary school because of the kind of work that is happening. So by the time this child is exiting the university, and the university is out of freedom, like now they even stay outside, they have their hostels, no one is following them up.
Yes. There's a lot of freedom now.
There's a lot of freedom.
Yeah. So on that point of I'm really following up the issue of parenting.
Yes.
I don't think it is solely we blame the parents for this. I know it is not possible.
Yes.
But sometimes there is a trend that is coming up whereby most parents are very keen on bringing their children in a best way. Very correct. You work hard to show them the way. You work hard to be able to open their minds on what is happening. By the time they are going to high school, you have done a good job to be able to show them how the situation is. But again, when they learn to those institutions, despite your efforts, overnight, when they get there, they forget everything that you have told them and they shift to the other arena. And I think that is one of the major problems today. If that child managed to overcome in high school, when they go to the colleges and universities, they forget everything outright. I don't know whether you have observed that, whether it is one of the major challenges we are experiencing today.
Yes, it's a major challenge. And what you have said is very true. The high school level is a very, very important level for a child. And that is where the Kenya Student Christian Fellowship comes in. I have just said, Mr. Kangi and Mr. Magicho, if you take a child to a school where there is a strong Christian union, and this is where there is a selfless Christian union patron, you know, now I'm talking from the Christian point of view, whereby the child is followed up. There are prayers, there are Bible studies, there are camps, like now the camp that we're organizing. Amekuja tu, there are those temptations, but somebody is following him up. Somebody on Sunday, kuna mtu anamfuata. Eventually, you see now the child now adopting now the correct characters in life. That is a very important stage. But at the same time, let the parent not relax at home because you have taken your child to secondary school. Kindly follow up your child. I tell parents, the secondary school is like a forest. Ni kama kichakani. Watoto ni wengi, kazi ni nyingi. Kwa hivyo mzazi wako ni unafuatilia mtoto wako. Unapata performance imeenda chini. Go and visit the school as many times as possible. Work with that child. Connect with the teachers. Connect with the class teachers. Connect with the CU patron. Yeah? Follow up your child. by and by, when a child exits secondary school without the issues of the drugs or sexual immoralities, because that is where those things are happening, the issue of sexual immorality is also a menace in our schools. By the time now he's exiting and joining campus or college, he is a child who can stand on his own.
So you're saying secondary high school is very critical?
Very critical.
As far as fighting this particular scourge is concerned?
Yes.
This is where the foundation is actually molded?
Yes, secondary school, and that's where we need even to focus our resources. As a ministry, as churches, as the government, we need to focus a lot of resources in our high school. And as Kagi has put it, it's very true. Even though there are cases of drug abuse in primary school, they are not as they are in the primary. They are not as they are in the secondary schools. Yeah, because in primary school the child is always going home. Most of the children in the primary school, they are going home to meet their parents in the evening. On the weekend they are with their parents. So the parents are also helping in the issue of the parenting and helping them. So, but when they exit and they join now the secondary, the boarding schools, if the parents now says that now I'm relaxed, hallelujah, my child is in a secondary school, I can now relax and wait for the results. You should continue watering your plants and weeding, yes, and removing the suckers until you harvest. Yes.
But also I think currently allowing your child to understand what is lying ahead of them is very, very important. Just to open up their mind of what is they expect, where they are heading to. Whether from class 8 to high school, you should expose to them the expectation that they might find there, or from high school to university. And also, as you have just said, our role as parents is very, very important. This reminds me of my my example when I went to Form 1. You know, those days are the days when we had a lot of molestation and everything. And I had to look for a cover-up from boys from the village, you see. And I remember the first station I landed when we were going to preps was to go to the urinal. And I thought we were going to relieve ourselves there. And then we went behind the urinal. When we went there, I found like 9 boys who were standing there. And all of them, there was one cigar they were holding called roaster. And I was shocked.
You are now in Form 1.
I'm in Form 1.
Yes.
And I remember when I was being admitted, one of the cautions that I saw in the rules and regulations, smoking cigarette is prohibited in the school. If you are found, you will be expelled from school. And one thing that cleared my mind is that I think now I'm risking to be expelled from school day 1. And I was so confused what to do, because the boys were standing, making a circle. There was one guy who had that roaster, and then he lit the roaster, and they were taking 2 puffs each, moving around. I had not smoked a cigar before, and therefore I was really wondering now, because it is coming, it's moving around, when it comes to me, what am I going to do? I was so confused, I didn't know what to do. I had fear, if I don't take it, these boys are going to
isolate you
and even beat me, because they are not Form 1s.
Yes.
Therefore, I think Form 3, Form 2, they were combined. If I take it, I'm risking to be expelled. I've never spoke before. And then the cigar was coming, they were coming, and then I found the last person before me is now taking his puff. Now it is to be handed over to me. And then something came to my mind. What am I going to do? I was just confused. Then I was given the cigar. And I think something clicked to my mind, pass it to the next person and wait for my fate. And then I passed to the next person. And he picked the cigar. Now I was waiting for the slaps and everything. And luckily they didn't beat me up. Then it moves to the other boys. It was the last day I went to that urinal.
Yes.
I better I better survive the molestation from the other boys than start taking cigar which I had not taken before. What am I trying to say is, even trying to make your child understand what they expect, where they are going, it is going to open their mind instead of getting some surprises. of different kinds.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before our guest responds to that, we just want to take a segment that we always prepare for you in this particular show, and that is Know Your Constituency. Know Your Constituency is a segment that comes during this particular program. And of course, today we are taking you to Machakos County. Today we are taking you to Machakos County. I know last week we were in Trans Nzoia County, Kagi, so today we are taking you to Machakos County.
Ah, Machakos County.
Yes,
all right.
In Machakos County, this is the constituency that we are bringing to you, Kangundo constituency. Kangundo constituency, that is the constituency that we are focusing on today. Of course, it's one of the 8 constituencies in Machakos County. So we have 8 constituencies in Machakos County, Kangundo being one of them. And the MP for Kangundo constituency is called Fabian Muli. Fabian Muli, that is Honorable Fabian Muli, that is the MP for this constituency. Of course, we have previous members of parliament, 1969 to 1988, Paul Ngei, Kanu. 1990, we had Joseph Kimeu Ngutu, who won through a by-election, of course, again on Kanu ticket. 1992, we had Joseph Wambua Mulusia in the DP Party, Democratic Party. Then come 1997, we had again Joseph Kimeu Ngutu clinching that particular seat with the Kanu Party. Come 2002, we had Moffat Muya Maitha on Sisi Kwa Sisi Party. Sisi Kwa Sisi. I don't know whether it still exists, that particular party. And then 2007, I know you know this gentleman by the name Johnson Duya Mudhama. He won the seat on ODM Kenya Party. Then come 2013, we had Yengo Katadha Maweu winning this particular seat on Wiper Democratic Party. Then 2017, to date, and serving up to now is Honorable Fabian Muli. Of course, we have a few wards in Kangundo constituency. We have Kangundo East, we have Kangundo North, we have Kangundo West, we have Matungulu East, we have Matungulu North, and we have Matungulu West. Those are the wards that you will find in Kangundo constituency. And the main economic activity for Kangundo constituency in Machakos County is livestock farming, fruit farming, and sand harvesting. Livestock farming, fruit farming, and of course, sand harvesting. That is Kangundo.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very interesting constituency, yes, which is very vocal. I love the economic activity, especially the side of the fruits and also sand harvesting. Like the mangoes that you are taking, they come from those regions, very sweet ones.
So when you hear somebody going to Machakos, one of the things you ask them to bring to you is fruits.
Exactly,
mangoes.
Especially mangoes. But I have noted 2 things there. It seems the Kangundo constituency has a freedom of the political freedom.
Yes.
You could see the diverse ways they vote.
Yeah. It's
from
like
Kanu to Sisi Kwa Sisi, the Wiper, the ODM, DP. It can tell you they have a little bit liberty in their politics. But among the members of parliament you have just mentioned, only one who is outstanding, the late Honorable Paul Ngei.
Paul Ngei,
yeah, who is among the Kapenguria 6. Sure. And also when he was a member of parliament, he was very vocal in our national politics, but his exit from national politics was not very sweet, because I remember the time he was exiting politics, he lost his seat through what we call the bankruptcy. You know, you can lose a seat as a member of parliament. Yes, he was declared bankrupt. So Paul Ngei is an outstanding politician, and he's in our history books. The other members of parliament, they're not very vibrant.
They're not very vibrant. But what would you say of Johnson Mudhama?
Mudhama has been vibrant, but very shaky. Yeah, you know, he has lost a seat for several times.
Yes.
So he's not very firm in that area. Maybe in national politics he's cool.
It's cool.
Like today, do you hear him?
Yes. Sure. Yeah. Our guest, any point that you want to raise about Kangundo constituency?
Yeah, well, I used to admire Johnson Mudhama.
Yes.
I think he's not completely out. I think he's not the chairman of UDA. Yeah,
he was
and I think he really did a lot of work in preparing that party.
Sure.
But as Kangi has said, I think Paul Gay, even though we are very young at that time, is a name that was always in the media.
Exactly.
Mheshimiwa Paul Gay,
yeah.
was all over. Wherever Moi was going anywhere, you would find Paul Gay name is mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would wish that we get to have such leaders,
yeah.
that leave legacy. Exactly. Even when they are gone, you still remember them and what they did, and they help people. It's like our former MP of this Bukia, Keka Kemani. We live to remember that man. Yeah. And I think even the current governor has really benefited with the legacy of the father.
Exactly.
Yeah, the father really did a lot of things. They were good things. So politicians, if they commit themselves to work, they can actually achieve.
Sure. And there is something that you say, the diversity, even in terms of members of parliament getting to clinch those seats using different parties. But also the aspect of maybe seeing an MP maybe just serving for one term, and the other term it's a whole new person. Is it because of underperformance?
I feel it is the same diversity. They cannot be held hostage by a member of parliament. You know, most of our MPs who keep on taking back their seats, they hold hostage their constituencies. They know how to do it.
Yes.
But these ones, they are very liberal.
Is there a possibility? Do you think there's a possibility when we see maybe an MP serving for 2 terms, 3 terms, it means that maybe they are working well for the constituency they are serving?
Some yes, some no. Yeah, they have their own way of surviving.
Their ways. Of coming back. Well, that's enough for Know Your Constituency. Of course, next week Wednesday, we'll also be in a position to see. And if maybe you want us to focus on your constituency, or maybe to bring your constituency on board, feel free to tell us. Next week, kindly mulika my constituency. You can do that on 23814, or even maybe on our social medias. And then, of course, we'll be able to see how interesting that constituency is, and we'll be able to highlight that. But back to the drug abuse menace, Bwana Kinyanjui. And by the way, even as we were talking about the stage of secondary school and how pertinent it is as far as ensuring that students are protected against these. Unfortunately, maybe some of them do this thinking it's just for fun, it's just for entertainment, only for them maybe to realize that they fall victims, they are addicted.
Yeah, thank you. There was a point that Kagi had raised about the preparing our children on what to expect when they go to the high school. Is very, very important. And I would say one way to prepare these children what to expect is the church. I normally tell parents, you may not really like going to church, but you can go to church for the sake of your child. You can give it as a sacrifice. So for the sake of my child, right from 3 years, the child go to church. Let the child go for the Sunday school. When he's growing up, there are youth conferences, there are meetings for youth in the church, and you let your child be there. Do it for the sake of that child, because that is one avenue that the child will get prepared of what to expect when he goes to the secondary school. Like Kangi was able to overcome the issue of smoking because of the upbringing. Sure. So I would say your parents really played a very good role in preparing on what to expect. Yeah. But imagine a child who is not even prepared for the same. Yeah. When he goes there, and maybe he's even fearing. Yeah. Definitely he'll get engaged into cigarette smoking and eventually into drugs. So that preparation is very, very important, so that when a child goes there, he can stand on his own. You know, he can stand there, he's alone. Yeah? Even when they are traveling in vehicles, I'm telling you, like today there are midterm breaks. There are many, many things that are happening as they travel. Yes. When they meet in these towns.
Yes. Just between coming and getting
oh my God, a lot of things are happening. A lot of things. And we need to take care of that. As parents, we need to know your child is coming home with which vehicle. when they are coming back after midterm.
Those are very key details.
Very key details. Very key details.
So just a
Let me
matter
tell you, Magicho, some of the vehicles that you see around when the children are going for midterm, I would say they are just run by evil people. The children pay a lot of money to travel in those vehicles. You may find them maybe from here to Nairobi, they are supposed to pay 500, but they can even pay 1,500. But there are businesses that happen in those vehicles. The issue of drugs happens in those some of those vehicles, not all of them. The issue of even sexual immoralities, they happen in those vehicles. It's only a child who has been prepared well, like Kangi is saying, who can stand and say no to this thing. We have had testimony in KSF, by the way. We have had testimonies of children that were traveling in vehicles, that funny things were happening, they were able to stand. One girl was telling us that until the boys came and asked her, how comes you are not behaving like us? And she was telling them, the Jesus that is in me cannot allow me to do what you are doing. Yes. And she was traveling far, all the way from Nairobi to Meru. She was able to alight the vehicle, having not engaged in the issue of drugs and also sexual immoralities. That preparation, Kangi has said, is very important. But you see, it can also happen, it can only happen when you have time with your children. Sure. Yeah, I would have said, I started by saying, yes, I know we are busy, we are doing many other things for the success of our families, but let us have enough time with our children so that we can help them. There are many decisions that they cannot make on their own. But when you are close to them, they even have freedom to talk to you. You know, sometimes they go through things, but they cannot even disclose to you. Maybe imagine Kangi smoked. You know, you could not have gone home and tell the parent that I was forced to smoke. Exactly. He'll fear. But you see, when you are free, you have that you have freedom with your children. They can talk freely to you. They can also tell you the temptations that they are going through. And that is where now you come in as a parent and help. So I just wanted to say, what can you have said? That preparation is very, very important. Yeah. And again, sio kitu ya siku moja ati akienda shule, anaenda Monday, unamprepare Saturday. Hapana. Hii ni preparation inaanza mpaka akiwa mdogo. Anakuwa akijua what is happening in the society.
Bwana Kinyanjui, before Kagi comes back again, so with that particular aspect of the background in Christian Union, you can confidently say that that one can really help a student to be protected against this particular vice, because maybe there are those who believe that it's just a matter of telling them, making them see the bad side, making them see maybe the effect, the danger of it. But yes, really,
I can confidently say Christian Union and the Kenya Student Christian Fellowship has really rescued a lot of generations, a lot of children. We have had testimonies. I'm telling you, Mr. Mangicho, when you go to a school and you find a committed CU patron, I normally tell them, and that's what we are doing as a ministry. We are capacity building our CU patron in schools. We are doing a lot of workshops. Like last weekend, we had a Leaders Strategic Forum in Nairobi. I was there for 3 days with many teachers all over the country. We are now trying to equip and train them on how to go about the ministry and the CU, so that you have a lot of time with these children. The CU patron gets to know a lot of things that is happening in the school. Let me tell you, a school that has a strong Christian union, even the issues of strike and riots are not common. Because the Christian Union readers are able to know things. You know, they are together with the children, with their peers. They got to know this and this is happening. So they're able to come and tell the CU patron. Probably the CU patron shares with the principal. And the thing is arrested. Even the issue of drugs, they come and give a lot of information. So as we preach to them, as they get to change their behaviors, we end up getting a good school, and they end up graduating and exiting many children. By the way, I have cases of children whereby the CU is very strong, they are being followed up. You find they even end up taking all the positions of leadership. They are the head boys, they are the prefects, they are the dorm captains in schools. And therefore, when you have a dorm captain who is born again, can he allow the issue of drugs to happen in that dorm? He cannot. So it's a very important organ that need to be equipped and supported. I also want to say that I'm very happy for the principals that are supporting the Christian unions and the KSF activity in their schools. Sure. But I also want to encourage the teachers and the principals that are not supporting the ministry. They do it for their own good. Yeah, the KSCF is there to complement on what they are doing. The CU is there to help them. And when you see a teacher who is committed to do this work, because this teacher is not given an allowance to do whatever he's doing, It's just a passion like what I'm talking about. But you see, it's going to help a generation. And you find even the children that are even passing the exams. You find there are many that are coming from the Christian Union. They are the ones who are doing very well in the exams. So it's a big asset and something that needs to be done that can help us. In our own small ways, as Christian Union, we can fight this menace of drug and substance abuse.
Okay. Away from now the schools, we have another area which is very, very sensitive, the society.
Exactly.
And the society, let's talk about our villages and even our estates. You may find a youth who has managed to go through the high school and comes out there without involved in drugs. Or maybe those who didn't go to high school and going forward, they are in the village. But if there's one area which I will refer that you may speak on it, a society which is less concerned with our young people and drugs. For example, the issue of Kirinyaga. It is happening in the village and even the estate, whereby people are selling illicit brews all over, and the village is damn silent about it. Or maybe you find in a village there's a guy who is a drug peddler, and everybody knows that if you go to Mr. X home, that's where they sell drugs, and everybody has evidence it happens there. But society is always mum on these guys who are selling drugs in the estates and even in the villages. And you find many young people are being enchained by these drugs because they can easily go and get them and even easily distribute them in other villages. How would you say about that?
Okay, thank you, Kangi. When we were starting this discussion, I said this is a war that needs to be fought by everyone.
Yes.
You know, when the war broke out in Israel, Hamas and Israelites, you heard that some people from Israel who are living and working abroad, they came back to fight. They are not even soldiers. Yes. But they discovered that our country is at war. They came back so that they can fight for their country. But as you have put it correct, it is true. Somebody said that Kenyans have very peculiar habit. Very peculiar. Even when you're traveling in vehicles, Magicho, have you ever discovered that people take yogurt and everything and they throw?
Exactly.
And you throw that thing to be corrected by who? Yeah. That's what you should ask ourselves. And even the issue of the drugs is like that. So long as my child is not involved,
I don't care.
It is none of my business. Yeah? And that's what I want to say. We cannot point fingers to anyone. Let us point fingers to ourselves. As a society. Yes, what are we doing? What are we doing? These drug peddlers are our neighbors. What are you doing? Higher. Come to police and the authority. Yes. Some of them, they know these guys.
Correctly.
They know who are selling these drugs. They know where it is coming from. But you see now, we may even have some people who are corrupt, some even security forces that are corrupt. They are benefiting from what is happening. Somebody is selling drugs and destroying children, but it is none of our business, wrong as it is not affecting us. And that's why when we'll come and discover we are at war, this war can be won. Look at the issue of alcohol. How many times have our people died because of alcohol? Sure. Even in this county of Nakuru, remember, the here near Mairusita there.
Yes.
Even the CS himself came. I think it was Matiang'i who came right to that place.
When the victims also died.
When people have died. Yes. So we cannot point fingers and say, you people are failing. Because when you point in this one figure, the other figures are pointing at you. But let us say, even the issue of the society, even the police. Yeah. Now, like now, we have got the laws that have been passed in this government or by the government to fight the menace of alcohol, illicit brews, and the drugs. But what happens when the people have died and we have given declarations and commitment to fight? Then what happens? Why is it that after some time still people dying? So it means we are sleeping on the job. But me, I'm very sure, and I can say 100%, when we become committed as a society to fight this menace, it can be won.
And because that point is very critical, actually, what Kagi has brought out now in the society stage or in the society level. And maybe how do we do it? Because like now, of course, there is that particular conference that has been taking place in Mombasa on matters to do with the drug abuse. I believe this is not the first conference that we've had.
Yes. Yeah.
Meetings have been called. People have been enlightened. People have been told the consequences. But still, looking at the impact, looking at the fruits of some of these initiatives that have been taken, you just don't see any positive impact from them. Therefore, that is why now we need to find and ask ourselves now, if it is the society now to look at this particular matter in a totally different perspective, in a totally different picture, where do we begin from? If we were to leave it maybe to the government, because this is something that we've had, even the deputy president, he's become very vocal. He's been threatened, actually, even told those chiefs that are condoning, and even maybe those police officers that are condoning this particular vice, they are going, action is going to be taken to them. But there are people who are even wondering, even if we were to actually have them go home, would it still maybe bear any fruit? But as you've rightly put it, it calls for an entire societal responsibility. But how do we reinvigorate this? How do we start together as a society, the Kenyan society?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's very true. Okay, personally, I'm a school manager. You know, but I hate saying we do a meeting with the teachers, then we say this need to be done. Who will do it? For example, you say we need our children to be coming at 6,
yes,
or at 6:30. We need who will do that?
Who will do that?
You know, and the problem comes in during implementation. By the way, this country, we have very good policies. We have very good laws that are there. We don't even to do any other meetings.
We don't need to come up with any other.
We just need to work with what is there and to produce results. But the problem with us and the problem with the society, we have very good laws, we have very good policies, but the problems comes in during the implementation. Yes, the government is doing good. It is leading from front. But they should continue leading us from front. Then us, as the people, as a society, we should follow. So it means when we follow what the government is doing and we commit ourselves to make sure that we are fighting this menace, then we can bring this war into conclusion. Yeah? But we have got the policy, we have got the rules and the regulations, even in our schools, there are many things that we say, but now what happens? It means whatever we decide to do and we agree that this is what we are going to do, we fail at the implementation stage. The policies are good, they have no issues, but at the implementation stage, that is where people fold their hands. But I've come to realize whenever you make policy, the boardroom meetings are good because you make those decisions when you are sober. You know, and that's why you go to boardrooms. You discuss and you talk silently like that you are talking, and you come up with very good policies. But the moment those policies are prepared, let them be followed to the letter so that they're implemented to the letter. That's when you're going to see the results. You cannot see the results if you're not implementing what you have discussed. Or you discuss this and you agree this is how you're going to do it, but when you get to the ground, you start doing it in a different way. It cannot produce the desired results because that is not what you had discussed when you are sober. So when you get to the ground, even though it is fighting back, you continue doing it until you realize and achieve results. And even in this government and many governments that have passed, the people that have achieved the results are the people who followed the policy to the letter. If you can remember Michuki, the late John Michuki, when we came up with the issue of the speed governor and the issue of the belt, we never thought that it will come to pass. I remember one day, people went on strike, the matatu went on strike, and Michoke said, wakati nitaona abiria wamelala, nitafurahi sana. His vision was to see passengers traveling in Nissans and sleeping. And nowadays we sleep. When you board a Nissan to Nairobi, and it is traveling at 8, you sleep.
Yeah, you just sleep.
Yes, and that was the vision of a person who followed the policy until he implemented it. So when this policy can be followed, and you see, when the government now does its work, then it pushes the people that are below it to the wafuatwe kabisa. Hata sisi shule managers wa mashule tufuatwe. Eventually you're going to see the desired results. The parents, they should be called and be sensitized and be told how to follow their children at home. The society, the churches should tell the members and the people in the society what they should do when they find somebody who is selling drugs. Then we take it upon ourselves to address it. Because if we don't address this thing, where do we have a future? When you have so many of our children taking drugs and even dying, some of them are not even getting married. They cannot get children. They have no interest for getting married because of the alcohol and the drugs that they have taken. Do we have a future?
By the way, we should be awake to to that reality.
Yes.
Of the impact.
Yes.
That this particular menace can actually do to our society.
Yes. It's actually, and that's why I say it's a war. We are in warfare. It's only somebody who is not alert and aware of what is happening who can say that there is peace. There is no peace when our young people are being destroyed by the issue of drugs, the issue of alcohol, and many other things that are happening. And you see, that is only one thing that we are discussing today. There are other things that are destroying our youth, which we may discuss another day. But the issue of the drugs, I want to say confidently, it's a war that can be won.
The government has been doing a lot of effort to, as you're saying, is a war for everybody to come on board. I don't know what's your take on the agency to fight drugs in the country, NACADA. You know, it was put in place to be able to help our nation to arrest the situation. Maybe, having come from the ground and working with young people, do you feel the impact of NACADA?
Well, probably the impact is there. I may not know, maybe there is a way they do things, but we know it is there. Yeah. We know NACADA is there. But honestly, we don't feel it on the ground. We don't feel its presence. You know, feeling the presence of something is like, you know that if I want to know things to do with this and this, I can find these people somewhere. And I can find them doing something.
Like NTSA.
Yes.
It's an agency dealing with our roads.
With our roads.
We feel them.
We feel them. Yeah. We see them on the road even when we are traveling.
Yes.
But do we? NACADA? We don't see NACADA. I don't want to really point fingers on them, but I think they need to up their games.
Yeah, actually speaking about what Kagi was saying, because there are those who have been fearing that it's like we have a whole cartel. You know, we've had cartel, this particular jargon in this particular country, and people believe that it affects almost every area. So even in this particular fight against drug menace, drug abuse menace, there are those who believe that there are cartels who are actually benefiting.
Yes.
From this particular business.
Because if drugs is a big catastrophe for our nation,
yes,
and we have a full agency funded by the taxpayers' resources to arrest the situation, where are they?
Where another thing, Kangi, that we can ask ourselves, most of these drugs are not manufactured in Kenya. We don't have industries for those drugs in Kenya. How do they come in the country? How, as a government, are we saying that we are not able to tell that people are bringing drugs? Surely. Yeah, sure. There must be some cartel somewhere that they are getting this thing into the country. Well, I know things like bang is being grown in Kenya, but still it can be addressed. Because zinakuzwa tu kwa mashamba.
Si kwa mashamba.
Si watu wanajua, wewe ukiona mmea wa bagi si utajua. This is a bank plantation. So there must be some cartels that are really benefiting with this kind of menace, which is very immoral, I would say. Sure. It's very immoral. When you destroy generations just to make yourself rich, when other people are being completely destroyed, it's very immoral. But I think the government can do much more. We are not pointing fingers to them because the other fingers are pointing at us. But we're telling the government, yes, you are doing good, but there's a lot of room for improvement.
What should they do?
Yes.
NACADA, what should they do to help us to manage the situation, according to you, the NACADA? What should they do?
Like now, issue of these drugs, the way they come in our country, and the means in which they are being distributed in our country, I think the NACADA should actually advise and also tell the government what is happening. Exactly. They should have intelligence, because they actually, that is it's an authority, is it?
Yeah.
It's a parastatal. Yes, it's an authority. And therefore, if you have been given some jobs, you should be an advisor and tell us what is happening. What is happening? So that the government can come in and curb where the entry of this thing. If they are getting to Nakuru town, they should be, zinakuja kupitia barabara. Yes. We should be aware how they.
Some of the issues that they need to raise.
Yeah, they need to raise, and also create awareness, even to public.
Yes.
To tell the public, when you see this and this happening, it is from somewhere. Yes.
Very true.
So a lot of things need to be done. It's a good discussion, but it's a war that can be won. That's what I believe.
Sure.
Yes.
Just before we bring it to a close, of course, we have our leadership quote for today. And our leadership quote for today, that is what we want to look into. if you can have it on the screen, so that we can be able to see. And our leadership quote for today is: the test of leadership is not to put greatness into humanity, but to elicit it, for the greatness is already there. The test of leadership is not to put greatness into humanity, but to elicit it, for the greatness is already there. I think my graphics guy did not give us the credit to this particular quote, but that is basically our leadership quote for today. Kagi.
Yeah, you know, everybody is has his own greatness.
Yes.
I know that I love the word illicit. To sprout
Yes.
the greatness in everybody. If our leaders don't sprout the greatness in our young people, many people, I think, will just fade away. If we don't identify these young people who are being stolen by the drugs, because many of them are very potential.
Sure.
If you don't identify the potential in them, elicit those potentials, we lose the generation.
Yes. When I can enjoy in 20 seconds.
Yes, I also want to add on that quote that the greatness of a leader is not during crisis. Yeah, if you want to become great, solve a crisis, and people will know you.
And people will know you.
People will know you. Is this government solve for us this crisis of drugs and substance abuse?
Yes.
We are going to remember them.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bwana Samuel Kinyanjui, the regional chairman, Kenya West, Kenya Students Christian Fellowship. It's been a pleasure. Such great insights that you've granted us today.
Thank you.
That's, of course, where we bring it to a close. We also want to appreciate you. We've had so many of you watching and also participating. In the interest of time, we might not be in a position to read some of those comments, but we'll see you again next week, the same time, of course, with another very, very captivating discussion. My name is Mangicho Mola. Have a blessed afternoon.
Yes, I want to thank you for finding time to follow our program today. My name is Paul Kagi, wishing you a blessed Wednesday ahead.